Hello, it's Ricardo, and what seems like an age, I finally made it to Colonia. Well, it's been an interesting journey. I've managed to accrue quite a bit of money from all the data. I've been to Mammon listening post. And then shortly after that, I made the trip up to Hillary Depot, which was a land-based depot where I was able to sell even more cartographic data and increase the coffers and my exploration rank. On from that was a Mudson terminal, another land-based depot. Shortly followed after that then to Attenborough's Watch, a built station out of a hollowed out asteroid, one of the first ones I'd seen. Then after that, then it was on to Observation Post Epsilon, another hollowed out asteroid in an asteroid field, really spectacular. And then on to the Omega Mining Outpost, again, more hollowed out asteroids. Then moving upwards after a long old flight, it was Eagle Sector with two bases quite close together, the Eagle Sector and Eagle Landing. Eagle Sector being in an asteroid, and then Eagle Landing then being planet-based. All this was starting to prove that the conflux was indeed a very interesting place to go exploring. Eagle Landing with some stunning visuals, especially with the nebula in the background and that sort of like reddy magenta hue to the entire area. It was great, absolutely great. And then moving on, it was on to the conflux settlement. This revealed several logs of the journey found about the 3 settlements. And then things started to get really interesting. Moving on to the Guardian Ruins at the Scaudai area of the conflux. Here, like some of the other Guardian sites, we were able to find Guardian artifacts. And then there was Sakagawea outpost, another land-based outpost. From then on, I then moved all the way over, right the way to Gagarin Gate, passing by Mitchell's Legacy, containing 6 black holes. And from there then things started to happen really quickly, because I then moved on to Polo Harbour, and then at my destination where you see it, Colonia and Jacques outpost. So now I'm here, I thought, well, let's see what all the fuss is about. And here it is, Jacques Station, or Jacques Outpost. Quite a busy old outpost, I have to say. Lots of passenger liners coming and going. A few players in system as well, which is always nice to see. What looked to be a typical Oculus spaceport, it does look a bit shorter. A fly around as well. You know, it's in pretty good condition. Some of the other spaceports we've seen have had some damage and some welding going on outside, but nothing's happened here. And of course it does look a bit different as well, with the sort of like purpley magenta backdrop of the nebula behind it. Now moving around to the rear of the station, let's take a look at that drive section. Now Jacques, the bartender, saved up for a long old time. He's a cyborg, and he finally bought the station and then took an awful lot of time then to fit the station out with engines. These engines then allowed him to move all the way over here. That's the gist of the story, and you can look up more about the story either in the comments section or on the internet. But an impressive station, at least from the outside, and surrounding that as well as several beacons. Well, there's 3 beacons in fact, but it's not the only thing in the Colonia system. So you have Jacques Station, but you also have a secure facility on a planet named Picard. You also have an orbiting station. You also have a land base and a listening post, to name but a few. So that's a good old look at the outside of that ship, station, whatever you want to call it. And now it's time to move inside to see what all the fuss is about. Again, great visuals from Frontier here in this part of space. Really makes it feel a little bit worthwhile coming all the way out here. And docking to Jacques station is the same as any other docking to any other space station. You request your access, but what I would say is be very careful when trying to dock. At least if you're docking on manual. Now those of you who use a docking computer, it'll wait for ages and ages and ages and ages and ages before it will allow you to dock. So I would suggest perhaps turning it off, and if you can do it, and you should be able to do it if you've got yourself all the way over here, dock on manual, okay? The reason why I say this is a busy old spaceport. There are lots of ships coming in and out of the aperture, like you see. You know, there's a liner coming out now. So, easing it in through the aperture is quite easy, standard the same as everything else. And then find your pad and get it on the deck. Now I've now changed my ASP to the new golden paint pack that I was issued by Frontier. I had bought a gold pack for it, a gold paint job I should say, and I got an email not so long ago saying, hey, you know, we've got a new paint job, and because you've bought the gold one, we'll give you the golden one instead. And it's great. I think it's great. Nice and reflective, nice rich colours. Now I have changed graphics cards in the middle of doing this video. I have to admit. I've gone from a GFX 1050 Ti superclock, and I've now gone for a GTX 1070 gaming, which is obviously got the 1070 chipset in it. It's also got 8GB of RAM. And I must say, I can see the difference. It's not as jerky, the lines are better, there's no tearing. Not that there was an awful lot of that with the other graphics card either, but with this one I have to say, it is giving me a better experience. At least I think so. So several liners on the pads. And the interior of the space station is the same as any other. I was kind of hoping for something a bit more rewarding for the inside of this station. You can see some wreckages of other liners just floating around. Unfortunately, that guy's just missed it. But no, I was hoping for something, perhaps a mix of all the other stations for the interior of this, not just the same old boring station interior. It's a shame. I don't know what I was expecting really. I hadn't looked up on the internet of what it was all about. I thought, well, let's just get on over here. As you know, if those of you who've been following me, this started off with getting 5,000 light years away from my starting system, which was indeed cozy. And once I got 5,000 light years away, well, I didn't really want to go back because the visuals were that more rewarding. And I was talking to somebody online the other day who had commented on one of the videos and said, yeah, you know, they're sick of the drama, you know, of the bubble, and it's nice just to get away from things for a time. And I agree. I think things are. I think, you know, it is nice to get away. Go on your hollybobs, if you know what I mean. As I mentioned, the inside of the station is like every other, although this one is very busy. I mean, look at all those active landing pads now. Though nothing coming in through that aperture. Anyway, let's move on. So as docking with Jacques was equally as perilous with ships coming and going, you have to be careful as well for exiting the space station. Now the space station has about 5 or 6 ships, nothing too whizzy, nothing too bigger than a Python, I believe, in the shipyard. It has got outfitting, and you can drop off all that cartographic data, which is most welcome. Also, repairing your ship, like I said, outfitting as well, but nothing more than a 5C really, on a power core or jump drive that I could find. The visitors beacons as well, you can pop out and scan for a little bit of history, and I've done that. As you can see, the Jaques visitors beacon is on the screen. And moving on to the next one, it is but a short hop. This one now called the Colonia expansion, the third one being repairs complete. And each one of these gives you a little bit of history, as I've mentioned. Now moving on and away from Jacques Station, I thought it was time to check out some of the other outposts and stations in the area. And again, moving past this lovely blue jewel of a planet, we're on our way to Colonia Hub, a land-based outpost on this sandy-coloured, meteor-pocketed world. Now, Colonia Hub is a bit more well-appointed than what Jacques Stations is. You can get anacondas, and there are 12 ships to choose from, should you feel like upgrading from the ship that you dragged yourself all the way from the bubble in, all the way to here. Now, there are missions to be had as well. Missions were very hard to come by on first arriving to Jacques Station. There was the Jacques governing body and also the Colonia governing body. No missions there, even though I dropped off about 1.8 million of cartographic data. Here, however, I was pleasantly surprised. Outfitting, cartographic data, shipyard, everything you could possibly want, and missions. So there were mining missions, there was delivery missions for both the two factions that are in system. And the graphics with this new card, I think, really are making it stand out. Perhaps it's not too apparent from what you can see in the video, but in the game, it's great. And this station does give the impression of it being brand new as well. I mean, look at it. I mean, some of the ones have been a little bit tired, a little bit dated. All the landing pads are nice, they're not scratched. What's lacking from this outpost is the big honking, great big towered buildings in the centre. And that's what I think makes it look a little bit different. Nonetheless, very impressive. You've got all your security drones, skimmers zipping around, which I think have been missing on some of the other land-based outposts that I visited on my journey over here. So like I said, the shipyard, got the Sidewinder, the Hauler, the Eagle, the Viper Mark III, the Cobra Mark III, Type 6, Diamondback, Keelback, Vulture, the Type 7, the Python, and then finally the Anaconda for that 171 million credits. So with the mission boards, as I mentioned, quite a few missions. Come and get me this. Go and mine that. Liberate some hostages. Expansion data. And only a few hops away as well, which is quite good. So, obviously some of these require you to have a bigger ship, and I haven't brought a bigger ship with me. So just in orbit of that is Colonia Orbital. Now a standard outpost in space, looks very nice again, just like Jacques Station did against the purpley magentas of the nebula that's close by. So as it's an outpost, you can't go docking that old Anaconda here. So, you know, a Python and below, you know the score. Nothing too hefty. A wreckage of a ship on one pad. Seems to be a sort of standard graphic. and solar panels, and other station appendages coming off it. Landing, pretty straightforward as it is on any hub. As long as you can do it, you can get on it. And again, outfitting available, along with refueling and repair and advanced maintenance. So it's a tourism economy. Now Jacques Station did have a rare Jacques hip flask, or Jacques distillery. Jacques Quintanian distillery. That was it. And you can get 20 tons of those. I'm not sure if it's at any one time, but worthwhile picking up if you're making the journey back. And of course, a better selection of missions. Expansion data currying, bring this back missions, you know, that sort of thing. And a black market, which also Jacques Station did as well. So good they thought about it, because any thriving new environment would need a black market. So into the outfitting section. Whereas Jacques Station was lacking in a few areas, this station does tend to pick up the slack. So burst lasers, railguns, pulse lasers, missiles, mining lasers, torpedoes, fragment cannons, and mines. Can you put in the comments what's missing? Also utility mounts. Again, a more well-appointed outpost or station. ECMs, chaff launchers, and the like. But also one thing I noticed as well, the ability to reinforce the hull of your ship. You can go right up to the military grade composite as well for 5 million. That of course though will reduce your jump range. So some things that have got no stock, a lot of things that have. I mean, my frame shift drive is 5A though. If you needed to, you could get a 5C. And also you can upgrade your field maintenance unit, which I've done as well, because I'm going to need a better one for the journey back if I decide to go that route. There are options, and I'll discuss those in a video when I'm ready to return back to the bubble. But there's a lot more exploring to do out here anyway at the moment. A couple of black holes, some planets where there's a neutron star very close by, an upgrade to a 2B auto field maintenance unit, even though it uses slightly more power, I think has got more capacity, about 500 units of capacity more. So for a quick look round outside the station, a few things that are slightly different. Again, like the land-based, it does look newer. Like it has only just recently been put there. And of course, in-game, it has. Not as busy as Jacques Station though, but still be wary if you're playing in open mode for those unscrupulous commanders who may find it amusing to shoot some ships that aren't so heavily armed because they've just made the journey all the way from the bubble. So time now to move on from our whistle-stop tour of the Colonia system, and then to move on to another area or point of interest in system, that being the listening post. That's located just a few clicks away. Now the listening post is orbiting a moon or planetary body with rings, and does contain a message. A message about another military faction. Now this military faction may play a wider part of a story in future parts of the game. but great planetary detail as well around this listening post. Now, of course, coming into system and targeting, it will allow you to scan that beacon and get the message. It does tell a harrowing tale, I suppose. Concerning the data inside that listening post. So another military faction in the area, taking out ships. There could be a right old play for power going on in the Colonia and Conflux area of space. One where I think there'll be more community goals in the future. So, here it is. Here's the listening post in orbit around a planet with many clouds. Quite a nice sight, a good addition to the game. Now, this has been Elite Dangerous, and I've been Ricardo. This has been the end of a journey from the bubble all the way to Colonia, stopping off at many different places that I detailed earlier on. Thanks very much for watching, and see you soon. But please check out for the videos that have been detailed in this series. Fly safe.